The following broadcast is brought to you in association by Forever Grips. Go to forevergripsgaming.com for all of your affordable gaming accessories. Need new grips for your analog sticks? They've got it. Need to swag up your controller or console, including the Xbox Series X or PS5? They've got it. Need a sweet mouse pad to complete your setup? Go to forevergripsgaming.com now. Act now and use the Vendetta Sports Media promo code VSM15 at checkout to get 15% off of your purchase. That's right, 15% off by using our promo code VSM15. Forever Grips, the best accessories for the best prices are with Forever Grips. What's going on, all you Tannimals? It is Bryan Tann again here with you with the Tanndemonium Sports Show, the post-Thanksgiving edition. And with me, as always, is the cranberry sauce to my stuffing, Jackson Law. JLaw, how the hell are you?
Doing good, man. Some breaking news that happened that I'm sure we'll get into.
We got into this,
literally, I was recording something else and it broke during the middle of that. So you'll hear my reaction in the next episode of Toast Talk. But
nice.
Yeah,
it
we'll
broke
get
while I was working out. Actually,
crazy.
It broke just as I was finishing my workout. It broke, and my wife goes, "What's wrong?" And I was like, "Dude, the Wizards." Well, let's get into it. So the Houston Rockets and the Washington Wizards have agreed to a trade. The mass exodus from Houston continues. Russell Westbrook, the first of the dynamic duo, or as I call them, the ball hog duo, is gone. Russell Westbrook has been swapped for John Wall, and the Rockets get a first-round draft pick. So not only are the Wizards are getting Russell Westbrook, and they're giving up a first-rounder. And John Wall, now, I thought that John Wall would never leave the Wizards. The Wizards have always backed up John Wall, no matter what. When everyone was like so anti-John Wall, this guy's an idiot, they stuck by him. This is our guy. This is our guy. And now he's gone. I guess he was their guy, but when you have a chance to get Russell Westbrook and have him ball hog your entire team, you take him.
Oh, yeah. Bradley Beal's production is going to take a severe hit this coming season.
I don't even think Bradley Beal is going to get the ball again.
He may not.
He might have to come off the bench.
Like, if Bradley Beal just turns into a spot-up shooter, I riot because I like Bradley Beal. He's a great playmaker. But
see, I don't know a whole lot, and once again, I don't know a ton about the NBA as it is today, but Bradley Beal is a name that I've at least heard whenever I played 2K, and when I remember the first time I saw him, I'm like, Bradley Beal, he must suck. Why is he a starter? And then he hit like the first like 4 threes he took, and I was like, oh, so that's why.
He's just a hooper, man. Not too great of defense, but he's more along the lines of just a pure scorer, and for some teams you need that. He's a bucket getter,
right?
And it's just, I don't know. It's weird, the whole this trade, because I've seen people say, they trading for Russell. It's like basically someone said trading Russell Westbrook for John Wall is like trading Russell Westbrook for Russell Westbrook. They're literally the same type of player.
Well, except John Wall's coming off a ACL surgery.
Yeah, significant injury.
I mean, sorry,
where he's missed
Achilles tendon, not his ACL.
Pretty much missed like 2 seasons.
Yeah, I mean,
it feels like it's been forever since I've seen John Wall out there on the court. Which is weird.
He hasn't played since December 26, 2018.
Yeah, so and that is pretty much about the start time of the NBA. So it will be 2 years, almost to the day, that we have seen John Wall in an NBA uniform, and it's not going to be in a Wizards uniform.
So
it's going to be
well rested.
You would think, and yeah, it felt like the Wizards, because there was talk maybe about 2 weeks ago about this same thing happening, but even back when Daryl Morey was still the GM, there was talk of that happening. But then Daryl Morey leaves, ends up going to Philly to be their new GM. it just honestly kind of came out of nowhere.
Right.
And there wasn't any significant capital that was given up either. It was literally just
a trade
you
for
take
a trade,
this guy
and we'll take a pick.
Yeah.
Now
and
the specifics of it say, and this is according to ESPN.com, that it's a 2023 first rounder protected 1 to 14. And
Yep.
so if that doesn't convey, it converts to a 2024 pick protected 1 to 12, and then 2025 protected 1 to 10, or 2026 protected 1 to 8. If it still hasn't been conveyed, then Houston will get a second round pick in 2026 and 2027. So really, it's almost like
it's not even like if the team sucks, like if the Wizards just suck and they get a top 5 pick for the next couple years, then it's like not even a good like
it's not
trade
even really a
asset.
good trade. Yeah, because you really think, and now let's think about this for a second. Ruptured his Achilles. He hasn't played in almost 2 years. So how long are the wheels going to be on that? How long is he going to be? Is he still going to be able to be the slasher that he was before? Probably not.
And you have to take into consideration how different the NBA is now than 2 years ago. And the emphasis of guard play and 3-point shooting.
Right, exactly.
And Wall's not a Wall. You're fine. Wall is not a 3-point shooter, and neither is Russell Westbrook, which is why you are literally trading the exact same type of player to the other team to receive that same player.
Yeah, basically, good. No, good.
I honestly think that this has no effect on either team. This is the weirdest trade. The only winner in this trade are Houston area strip clubs and the strippers, because John Wall is a big spender at the strip clubs. And James Harden had his jersey retired by a strip club in Houston. So
here's the thing. James Harden's going to be gone in the next couple of days. He's going to be gone before the season starts. Period. He wants out. Now here's the thing. A lot of folks are saying that a lot of it is because Westbrook and Harden aren't feeling the direction of the team and blah, blah, blah. That ain't it. That's not it. You want to know why they won out, JLaw? Because I'm going to tell you why.
Tell me why.
Kudos to you bringing in the Backstreet Boys. You're a manly man. It's because Harden and Westbrook are not big fans of the owner of the Rockets. Why? Because he's an avid Donald Trump supporter. He donated big money to Trump's re-election campaign. He donated big money to his initial run in 2016. And as he's been coming out publicly in support of Donald Trump, that has pushed Harden and Westbrook the way wrong way. Because not to the extent of LeBron James, but Westbrook and Harden have also been very, very vocal in social justice. Very vocal. Not to the extent, because their names, let's just be honest here, their names aren't going to be as big as LeBron's or even Kevin Durant's when it comes to this, because you figure Kevin Durant and LeBron James are up here. Let me get it into the camera space. Are about here when it comes to, I guess, in a lot of ways, sort of respectable media and outside of sports. LeBron because he's LeBron, Kevin Durant because of his story with his mother. Westbrook and Harden are only really big in sports circles. So it's going to be here versus here for them. You know, and LeBron is just an easier target to hit because everyone knows him. But Harden and Westbrook have not been silent on social justice reform or social justice in this country. So when the owner of the team is an avid supporter of a person that is believed is public enemy number one when it comes to social justice, and you've got the power to force your way to anywhere else, that's what you do. That's why I will always say the NBA is a players' league. NFL, not so much. If the NFL was a players' league, Colin Kaepernick would still have a job today, and we're going to talk about that a little bit later on. But the NBA and the NHL, they don't really care about that. It's a bunch of people from Canada and Russia and other areas, and social justice doesn't really affect too many of them, except what? PK Subban, his brother, and my brother for the Capitals. You know who I'm talking about. I can't remember his name, but I do remember
I
when
can't remember it
he
either.
scored against Boston and got racial slurs thrown at him left, right, and center. And everyone's all, oh my God, in Boston? Yes, in Boston.
Yes, in Boston.
Yes, in Boston. Come on now. Let's just be frank. New England is the old South of the freaking North. Okay. Okay. So
New York used to be that way too. New York City.
Oh yeah. From what I understood, yeah. What's funny is a racially diverse place like New York is called looked at as among the most racist places, but that's the NYPD for you in a lot of ways. And even was it Staten Island?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, that's why I'm saying Harden's going to be gone before the start of the season. And a lot of folks are saying that he's probably going to end up winding up in Brooklyn. And Stephen A. Smith, who I don't always agree with, I have a love-hate relationship for Stephen A. Smith. When he's on point, I love him to death. When he's out of pocket, I can't stand him and I want to slap him. I don't want to slap him as much as I want to slap Skip Bayless. But he's right by this, and I'm actually going to go back to our initial lead, is that if now, and let me put it to you like this. If James Harden goes to Brooklyn, do you agree that Brooklyn has to win the title this year? They have to?
It's normally with super teams like that, I try to give them a year to really kind of get their feet underneath them. But I mean, just the mass amount of talent that would be there, they would have to. But I don't think they. It's weird to say that I don't think they would, because they'd have they would amass so much talent. But I just don't think it would work.
I think the only team that would give them a hard time, talent for talent, would be the Lakers.
Yeah, but I don't think it could work. I don't think there's enough minutes in the game to satisfy all three of them, because Kyrie's your primary playmaker. Ball's going to be in his hands. You know, it's going to touch his hands like 2 or 3 times a possession, and then the ball's also not getting shot up. It's got to go to Durant, because Durant's going to be the scorer. Right. I mean, he is arguably, when we last saw Kevin Durant, he was arguably the best player in the NBA. People do not understand how good Kevin Durant is. People that have just been getting into the NBA this past season, they really started paying attention to the NBA, or they just kind of weren't paying attention to the NBA a couple years because Kevin Durant and the Warriors, and Steph and the Warriors were just winning every year. They do not understand how good of a ball player Kevin Durant is.
I've seen some of Kevin. I saw a good bit of Kevin Durant when he was in Oklahoma, and my God, that guy's otherworldly. Honestly, I'm more of a fan of Durant than I am of LeBron, to be honest, because I just feel like Durant. I mean, they both work their asses off. I think it's just a personality thing, to be honest. I gotta move this down here because I keep looking up. But no, I'm really more of a fan of Durant than I am of LeBron, and that's just personality-wise, But Durant is amazing. Now, and I think you're absolutely right on that take. I seriously do think that that's going to cause more problems than it should in Brooklyn. And when you have a first-time coach, you really don't want to put that on his plate. You really don't. Now, another team that I heard mentioned was the 76ers. Now, if Harden goes to the Sixers, obviously that makes the Sixers a far better team. Now, the question that I'm asked, the reason why I'm bringing up these other teams, and the reason why I'm saying what I'm saying with all of this, is whichever team these guys go to, okay, whether, where now we've got Westbrook in Washington, and wherever Harden goes, which one of these guys, do you think, number one, improves his team the most? Which one makes the bigger impact? Which one, at the end of the day, do we look at and say that this was a serious defining moment?
I think him rejoining Daryl Morey in Philadelphia would be the best fit. to be honest. Just because they need shooters. Now they've gone out and they've gotten some shooters. They picked up Seth Green. That's the actor. Seth Curry. I was thinking Seth Curry and Danny Green and combined them into Seth Green.
Gotcha.
but and as much as we make fun of the memes about Danny Green, he hasn't played fairly well. He is still a guy that spreads the floor out, and he's got a somewhat respectful. That's just me trying to be nice to Danny Green. They got my boy Isaiah Joe out of University of Arkansas. Picked him up in the draft. The Tyrese Maxey pick. Didn't really understand that because he doesn't shoot the three well, so that kind of puts them in the same boat. But putting him alongside and running him in a lineup. Now, what would be interesting about getting him is that I don't know if you can get him and not break up the Simmons and Embiid duo. And I think that if you are to pick one to give up, I think you give up Ben Simmons because Joel Embiid, the fact that he's
a generational big man.
He is a generational big man, and he stayed relatively healthy over the past few years, still injured at some points, but not like he was in the beginning of his career where he missed the entire rookie season.
Right.
And he has a better three-point shooting percentage than Ben Simmons does because Ben Simmons doesn't attempt any threes. And while I think Joel Embiid does better when he's in the post, the reason why he's stepping out and shooting so many threes is because they are bending to the will of Ben Simmons because they know Ben Simmons isn't even going to attempt them.
Right.
So they're forcing Embiid out. Whereas if you trade Simmons, you get Harden,
who can shoot
at least
all
then
over the place.
He can shoot from all over the place, and then you've got a top 4 big man down there to clean things up on misses or to dump it off to on mismatches.
Right. So I guess then, so do you think then that Harden is going to make the bigger impact? You know, I can see that because, like you've already said, the Westbrook Wall deal is just trading one guy for another guy. It's the same thing. It's almost like if you traded, say, Chris Mullin in his absolute prime with Larry Bird toward the twilight of his career, you're getting the same guy, essentially.
Basically.
So I think now this is a blockbuster, though, because it involves a guy of John Wall's caliber leaving a team that he's been with for how long? He's 30 years old. He's coming off an Achilles injury. I'd probably say he's got another maybe 2 to 4 years left. Maybe 5 if he's.
We'll just have to see
if he rehabbed well enough. I don't know his work ethic for rehabbing and everything. I know Kevin Durant's going to come back like a demon because Kevin Durant's work ethic is legendary. The only person in the NBA I think that works as hard as Durant is LeBron. Other than those guys who have to work their asses off just to make a team.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah. And I think that I don't think Harden will get moved this year. I think next year is going to be the soonest that it does.
You think that?
And I think it's going to be next year, just from the sole fact that they will continue to compete. They'll have a decent defense. They've brought in some bigs because they're going to get rid of the small ball offense. New coach, new GM. And I think they'll convince Harden to stay around for 1 year, regardless of.
That's going to take a lot.
I know it's going to take a lot. And like, even regardless of the owner situation, at least it's not like what the Clippers were a couple years ago, where you just straight up had the owner. I can't remember his name, but
Donald
just straight.
Sterling? Oh, that was years ago.
Yeah.
Donald Sterling was like, dude, Donald Sterling was so racist that they just kicked him out of the NBA. They just said, look, man.
Yeah, well, whoever the owner was, like the Clippers went out to play a game like after like some phone conversations, like recent conversation. Okay, that was Donald Sterling then.
Yeah, because the phone calls came
not
out
the guy that owns it now. The dude is just like this guy. He's like super pumped and energetic, and he's a crazy
Sterling.
guy. Yeah,
Donald Sterling.
Sterling.
Those phone calls came out. Folks were like, yeah.
So like it's not like to to that extent, although it's understandable where they would feel uncomfortable with playing for him. But I don't think it's to the extent where you can have the front office be like, hey, listen, we're making moves. Just give us one more year and we'll see where it goes. And then it's like, and then if you're unhappy, then because then that would also open up the door for where I think his best chance to make a big impact, Philadelphia, because I don't think Morey will pull the trigger on a trade just yet, but he's also the type of GM that's not afraid to. And so that's where I think that happens is he'll give it one more year to try to make it, to see if they can get it to work, but it's going to fail. Then I think Simmons is gone, and then that opens the door for this type of thing to happen.
Fair enough. Okay. I can get down with that. So at the end of the day, I think we're both in agreement. This is more of a shock factor trade than it is a good trade. This is more a damn, not a ooh.
Yeah, but and like you said, it is blockbuster because of someone of John Wall's caliber. Yeah, and Russell Westbrook is an MVP.
Right. He's not my type of player at all, but I mean got to give credit where credit's due for the guy. You absolutely have to. All right, so where do you want to go? Where do you want to go at this point there, JLaw? Do you want to talk some gaming? You want to go into the NFL? What do you want to do?
Let's do this. Let's do gaming, then let's do the Fuller story, and then that will transition into the NFL because we'll go from one NFL to the other, if that's cool with you.
Hey, I'm fine. I'm fine with that. Besides, there was a little game that happened this afternoon. We're recording on a Wednesday, guys, again. And we had Sunday night football on Wednesday. Don't worry. I'm going to go off about that in a minute. I am. Hey, you. Yeah, you. In case you hadn't heard, your favorite Renegade Sports Media Group has its own Patreon. Go to patreon.com/Vendetta Sports Media to support our efforts to continuously bring you sports, gaming, and other media coverage as only we can. We've got 4 different membership tiers. For $3 a month, we'll give you a simple thank you on our Patreon site. For $6 a month, you get a thank you and you get to become a recruit in Jackson Law's Vendetta University Gaming Series. For $10 a month, you get everything from the previous tiers, a special thank you at the end of our videos, free access to our upcoming Discord chat, and a free koozie after 4 months. And then the big dog, $50 a month, gets you everything from the previous tiers, as well as opportunities for Fantasy League invites, stream gaming, possible invites to mock NFL and NBA draft sessions, a once-a-month Google Hangout, and after 4 months, a free t-shirt. Yeah! Go to patreon.com/Vendetta Sports Media and help us to improve our pledge to bring you the best sports, gaming, and other media coverage. So, all right, let's do a little bit of gaming talk. Now, to me, the best time to buy video games is Black Friday and Cyber Monday. 2 of the best times. Why? Because you're going to get games, unless they've been out for a month, you're getting games on sale, half off practically. I was able to pick up Resident Evil 3 for like $20 on the Xbox store.
I got to get that. I loved the Resident Evil 2 remake.
Resident Evil 2 remake is boss. Resident Evil 3, I'm not that far in because I also picked up Marvel's Avengers and I picked up the topic of our discussion. So, but from what I did play, I enjoyed it so far. One thing that I really liked is that the demo actually factored in a little bit of like the beginning stuff, a little bit more than I thought it would, which was kind of cool. There's some new monsters, which I thought was really, really awesome. So far, I really like what I'm seeing of the chaos of the G virus hitting Raccoon City. I thought it was kind of cool. There were there was one little homage to the original that I thought was kind of cool as well, but because I played the original the original 5 Resident Evil games, I played religiously. I got the original when the director's cut came out. Got so excited, I pre-ordered 2 like right away, and then pre-ordered 3 right away. 4 came out, and I was like, "What the hell is this?" But I enjoyed it because I enjoyed the Mercenaries minigame. I beat the game just so I could play the Mercenaries minigame, and I only used Krauser because I felt like he was a roided up Legolas. 5 was when I was getting to be like, yeah. 6, I was like, yeah, screw this. 7 is cool, but I haven't played through it yet because it gets kind of challenging, and then I get kind of frustrated, and it creeps me out a little bit. So, but and the only thing I don't like, I kind of wish they would have done an actual remake of the first game instead of just porting the GameCube version.
Yeah, because it instead of redoing it like they've done 2 and 3, like you said, they just kind of gave it like some updated graphics, and it's all like the same style. It's not like improvements that they made to the game, because like the inventory system and the look and everything is similar to what was introduced in 7, but in 2 and 3 they're similar. And one thing for 3, I haven't played it, but you said you're into it a little bit. In the 3 remake, don't be afraid to burn through ammo, because apparently I watched a dude play through it. Dude had ammo coming out the ass. And that one there was no, like when like for his guns, because like I beat the 2 remake, and I did I need to do it the opposite way. I've done I did Claire B and I forget the other guy's name.
Leon,
yeah. As you can tell, this was like the 2 remake was honestly the first Resident Evil game I'd sat down and completed from beginning to end. Like I'd played some of the other ones, but it was just, they were games before my time, and so I never got into them. But and that one, it was like classic, managing ammo. I got to run around this zombie because I've got like a dozen pistol bullets left.
That's the way the original was. Now, the one thing that was different from the original is that, what was I going to say? I had a thought. Yeah, it was a lot like that. But the thing was, in the director's cut, if you played the because they had like the easy, they had normal, and then they had a enhanced mode. If you got to the enhanced mode and then you held like the right directional pad to the right, it doubled your ammo. So that was like a little cheat that I used all the time when I played that. But I mean, Resident Evil 2, I loved it. Resident Evil 2, the original, was probably my favorite in the series. And so the 2 remake, I really loved. I love it to death. I think it's amazing. 3, I like a lot. And the one thing that I especially like is that Jill is not wearing a short skirt and a tube top. She's actually wearing combat effective gear, which I'm into. And I do want to give the multiplayer game a try as well. So you're going to have to get it, because I only play games with people I know. So, and honestly, Marvel's Avengers, I love that game. It is fun. It reminds me of Marvel Ultimate Alliance with better graphics. And it's like you get an original story that takes everything great about the comics and everything great about the MCU and puts it into one. And I love it. I will fight people over this game. And I remember someone was all like, yeah, where's the DLC? Where's the DLC? Shut up. Kate Bishop is coming out this month. Matter of fact, we're going to get Kate Bishop next week. And then we're going to get Hawkeye next month in January. And we're going to end up getting Black Panther at some point. Now, granted, F the PlayStation version, because that's the only way you can get Spider-Man.
I was just about to say that, yeah.
But it's all good. He's a Sony IP, so I get it. But it's a fun game. I like the story. I wasn't sure how I felt about Ms. Marvel, Kamala Khan, but I'm a big fan of hers now. I think she's an awesome character.
Isn't she rumored to be coming to the MCU?
Yes, I believe she is coming to the MCU. She is, because they're actually going to be doing a Ms. Marvel television show, so she is coming to the MCU, which I'm excited for.
Cool.
I'll probably be talking about that at some point on my other podcast, I'm sure.
Yeah, I know. I don't want to delve too much into the movie stuff, because I know you guys your other podcasts. I just wanted to clarification on that.
She absolutely is, yeah. And I love the look. I love the aesthetics. Yeah, there's some bugs, but what games aren't going to have bugs? All games have bugs in them. It happens. Get over it. But the big tuna, the reason why we're talking games is now, JLaw, you and I talked all kinds of trash on 2K. We talked it. I was on board. Well, you know what? 2K21 was half off for Black Friday, so the wife bought it for me. So I uninstalled 2K20. I had just started a new expansion team. And I wanted to tell you this, that Wiseman kid that we talked about last week.
Yeah.
And for you guys that aren't getting a reference, I will, full transparency. We recorded the show for last week for Thanksgiving week, and the week got away from me. Time got away from me working on school stuff. So I wasn't able to put the episode up. So you're probably going to hear this episode first, and then that episode's going to go up after. So it's going to be out of sequence. Anyway, I actually ended up drafting Wiseman, and I can't remember the name of, I'd probably know it to see it, but one of the other guys that you were real excited about in the draft. And the only reason why I drafted him was because of like everything that you were saying about him.
Was it Okoro? Isaac Okoro?
No. I'm trying to think. I'm actually going to go back to the where's it at?
Who else was I hyping up? I'm trying to think.
I know he was I think he was no, he wasn't a shooting guard. He was I think he was he was either a small forward or a shooting guard. Let me see, 2020 NBA draft. Because only reason why I got either one of them was because of like what you were saying about him. And I was like, oh, that's awesome. I gotta see if I gotta find it, because no, I drafted him. The only thing that sucked was that, I mean, he wasn't bad, but he wasn't doing what like I was hoping he would do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's the one thing that I hate about NBA games when it comes to like drafting and stuff, is that a lot of the players, when they're coming in and they're new, they're nowhere near as good as they come out as. And that bothers me. So yeah, I had Wiseman, not him. I don't think it was Anthony Edwards, because we had a big talk about him. He actually went. I don't think he went number one.
Was it Denny? Denny Avdija?
RJ Hampton.
RJ Hampton. Okay.
RJ Hampton. That's who it was. So yeah, I got RJ Hampton and Wiseman in the first round after making. I think I made a trade and got another. So I was in the lottery and I made a trade. And I mean, he wasn't bad. He wasn't bad at all. So anyway, so yeah, I uninstalled my 2K20 game and all that. Started playing 21. Went right to my career. And instead of making my normal center, I made a shooting guard. And so far, I mean, I think the storyline was pretty cool. The storyline was very, very engaging thus far. The only thing I don't like is I don't like that pie chart archetype system. I really don't like that. It sucks that we're going to have to wait until the next gen to be able to make the type of player that you actually want to make.
Yeah, because and I was telling you a little bit before we started about this, but yeah, with the next gen version of 2K, 2K21, which they changed up the story a little bit, because in 2K21 you can opt, instead of going to college, you could go to the G League and play a year in the G League, and it's got a bunch of like the old My Career characters in it. Nice. So like literally like from the past 5 years.
Oh,
like,
so I can meet back up with Freak.
Yeah, like literally Freak is there. So like you're on a team with ATM, and I forget the dude he's like been in a couple of the games. He was like your rival in like 14 or 15.
I don't remember his name.
I can't remember his name. It's been forever. But
I can't remember ATM. I don't remember ATM too well. I remember Freak and I remember Che.
Yeah. So there's Freak and Che and DJ, because ATM was in the one where you were DJ because
Okay.
you
Oh,
like run into each
that
other.
must have been 19. Was that 19?
It may have been 18 actually.
All right. I know it was
It may have
one of
been 19.
those.
I'm getting them all kind of mixed up and confused.
Hey, because I've been wondering what happened with Freak and Che. Because I mean, I had Che, and I was kind of stoked about him. I like.
Yeah. So it's like you've got it's weird because they flipped it, because it's like the antagonists of the previous 2Ks are now your friends, and you become friends and teammates with them, and the players, like the characters that you played as, they're on an opposing team, and you butt heads with them.
Wow.
So that was kind of funny. Like,
that's kind of cool.
I'll admit that's funny.
I don't want to be at odds with Che or Freak, man. Frequency Vibrations was awesome, man. I liked Freak Vibrations. The only thing I don't like about these 2K games in my career is that the storylines, and correct me if I'm wrong, but a lot of these storylines end after your rookie year. Then it's just,
yeah, they do, and sometimes they go some weird stuff. Like, I think it was 2K16. It was a Spike League joint is what they had.
Yeah, that was the one with Freak.
Yeah, and I used to always laugh because obviously me, a white guy, made my character white, and both of my parents were black. And I had a twin sister that was black, and I was like, from a story point, this doesn't make any sense whatsoever.
Well, actually, there have been cases. It's very rare, but I remember reading an article in Jet Magazine back in the 80s where there was a black couple and they had twins. One of them was white and the other one was black. It's a genetic anomaly. It happens like one in a couple of like million.
Then my nickname should have been Anomaly then.
Yeah, instead of Freak. Yeah, I don't see you doing any Freak Vibration, and you're just Freak Anomaly.
Yeah, exactly. But that used to always baffle me, because I would be playing and it would be like the scenes and like, thanks mom, thanks dad, and I'm just like, I have a twin sister, so I can't even in my mind say that's like I was adopted or anything.
I know.
Like,
I was just getting ready to say that.
That's like those are my paternal parents.
That is crazy. What I really wish they would do is maintain actual storylines through your career, instead of it just being, now it's just a generic ass thing, and that's kind of why I lose interest in, like, I find it fun for like the first season, and then I sort of phase out, because now it's literally the same thing over and over again.
Yeah, and it's 100% because people honestly stop playing the NBA games after one season. There's not a whole lot of people, or at least the people that 2K is trying to please in doing this stuff, that play like entire careers of my career. Like, you have some people that do that, but it's like, even people like Chris Smoove maybe get 2 years in max, and it's if they stretch some stuff out, and there's some stuff in that second year, like endorsement deals that you can get. But a lot of them, they just get that first season to get the story, and then they're off to the park, and they never play another My Career game again, because they're starting to get all their badges, and they don't need to grind for them in the single player mode anymore.
Right. Well, see, my thing is this. Now, when you get someone like me, I don't like playing in the park. I don't like playing with
people. I know. And they just say, well, screw you, Brian. You gave us $30. You didn't even give us a full 60, and you're not going to pay an extra $60 to beef up your character to an 85 so you can go play in the park. We don't care about you.
Yeah, well, that's why I play Marvel Avengers. So F you, 2K. But I mean, that's cool. I'm not in their demographic. I'm anti-sports games for one reason. Every year, all it is a roster update. That's literally all it is. And I don't understand why they wouldn't, all right, release a game 1 year, right? Have an expansion to update rosters and blah, 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 and then actually take the time to continue building the game and actually making something unique and fun. But no, everyone seems to be okay with this carbon copy bullshit.
I know, it's ridiculous. I'll never understand people. It's like, I've been pissed off recently because people are buying like the PlayStation 5s from scalpers who are selling them at $1,200-$1,300.
Yeah,
because they got, and I'm like, you guys are fueling this problem. It's like, if you literally would just wait like a few weeks, then they will run out of money because they're buying up all the PlayStations, and they'll have no choice but to like sell. Like, if they resell them, then they're just going to want to get their money back, or they'll sell it for like $100 more.
And see, this
And
is
it's
what
like,
I'm
at
doing.
least then,
I'm just saving my money. I'm just going to start, putting $25 extra a month aside. So when my birthday comes, I'll get one. And guess what? I don't have to worry about if they're not available or not, because they're going to be there.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I went to the dark side due to Black Friday. Mm-hmm. Well, actually, as I call it, Happy Shopping Day, Happy Consumerism Day. So,
hooray, capitalism.
Woo, capitalism. Wow, this is weird. I gotta get a green screen, man. I gotta get a green. I really do. But so did you pick up anything fun and exciting during the Black Friday, or did you just stick with what you got? Well, you don't even have time. You got videos to make and crap like that.
Yeah, I didn't really pick up anything new. I upgraded my PC some, which was nice.
Again?
That was pretty much my whole Christmas. I got a brand new graphics card.
Oh, that's right. You were telling me about.
I got the GTX 260 now, and I did pick up a really nice. I just had hard drives, but I picked up a solid state drive that I plugged in yesterday. It came in yesterday and plugged it in, and let me tell you, man, it is making a world of difference. I recorded a new episode of Assassin's Creed last night, and first time recording it on the PC, it looked and ran beautifully, except for when it crashed one time. But after that, everything was loading in great. And not only that, but just the processing power of my PC has increased. I put up a brand new Vendetta University video tonight. Which subscribe, hit the notification bell, so that way you can be notified when the next VU series comes out.
Subscribe, do that.
It took what usually took about 15 or 20 minutes to upload an episode. It took 2 minutes to upload the file and 5 minutes to process the HD version.
Wow.
So in less than 10 minutes, because I had to type up the article real quick to go out with it, in less than 10 minutes from me clicking the upload button to typing in all the information for the YouTube video and making the post about it, I did it all in less than 10 minutes. And that was normally a 30-minute endeavor.
Nice. See, I need to at least get 32 gigs of RAM, and then I'm going to put that into my laptop. And I'll probably be done, because I don't do a lot of PC gaming. I only use my computer for recording and for work and for streaming. That's it. So only reason why I got a gaming laptop is so that it'll last longer with, using, with my recording and everything. So
yeah, I'm just biding my time for Cyberpunk, man. We are so close. You will not hear from me.
So excited.
Nobody
for Cyberpunk
will ever hear from me. Like, that whole weekend, all I'm doing is playing Cyberpunk.
I seriously, now here's the thing. I told Sharon, she was like, what do you want for Christmas, video game wise? And I was like, Cyberpunk 2077. And what did I say? I said Cyberpunk, Assassin's Creed Valhalla. And this is before I got, Avengers and blah, blah. I listed down. She was like, okay, and which one is the one? I was like, Cyberpunk 2077.
That is the one.
And you know what's bad? I want that. I'm so excited for that game. I revisited Deus Ex, Mankind Divided.
Yeah.
I have part 1 and part 2 of Deus Ex for 360 and then Xbox One. And I actually started getting into the first one, the one that's on 360, because I beat that one. I got part 2, but it had been so long since I played part 1, I wasn't invested in the character or the storyline anymore. So I've had it for years and I've never played it. I think I uploaded it like once.
Yeah, I've never played them either, but from interactions on Twitter, it looks like there's a lot of things that were inspired in Cyberpunk from Deus Ex. Like they really looked at the Deus Ex games. It's like, how are we going to build a Cyberpunk world? Well, they had a great example in Deus Ex, because that franchise did really well. Like, the games were well received, and they made great strides, like, in each new iteration of the game.
Absolutely. Deus Ex, and honestly, if we're recording this December 2nd, if you need a game to sort of whet your appetite until you get Cyberpunk 2077, download Deus Ex. It's a good series. It's a fun series. And I mean, the controls might feel a little bit dated, but it's not bad. It's a fun game. And I'll tell you the truth. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, just in anticipation for this, I beat The Witcher 3 again over the summer and finished it like middle of October. Wow. I started in like July and finished in the middle of October.
See, I'm please don't judge me when I say this, but I couldn't get into Witcher 3.
No,
I couldn't get into Witcher 2.
There are two different, like, the world of Cyberpunk and the world of The Witcher are two completely separate worlds, even though they're the same game in open world RPG. It's the settings and stuff like that.
Yeah,
I'm a huge fantasy guy, so
well, see, I like fantasy. I do like fantasy. Don't get me wrong, I do. Like Willow was one of my favorite movies growing up. I love the Lord of the Rings movies. I checked out of the Hobbit movies because how the hell are you going to force 3 movies out of a book that's 175 pages?
The last one was so awful. Battle of the Five Armies. That's literally like 4 pages in the Hobbit that they stretched out.
Yeah, that's just terrible. But I mean, but I do I even love the Witcher TV show. Toss a coin to your Witcher. I love it's just the game just didn't resonate with me. Like I love Oblivion. I love Skyrim. I'm not as much into ESO as I thought I would be. Elder Scrolls Online. I'm not as into it as I thought I would be, as I thought I should be. I thought I would be super into Witcher, but I'm not. But I love that developer because they put out so much. They put out more free content than they do paid content. And that free content,
paid content, it's like legit. It's like the Blood and Wine DLC. It was a massive new map with new creatures, new quests, like hundreds of new quests.
It was a brand new game.
It pretty much was, and it was like $30 or $20, and I was like, well, yeah,
and their free content is on point too.
Yeah, no, that you get new quests, new gear sets, alternate dresses for the 2 female main characters.
So that's why I'm so excited for Cyberpunk, because I love Cyberpunk stuff. Like I was a huge Shadowrun fan as a kid. Now, granted, I didn't really get into Blade Runner until I was an adult, but it's like I'm still not going to run to Blade Runner when I'm looking for something new to watch because I didn't have that connection to it.
Yeah, but and you have to be in the right mindset to watch Blade Runner.
Absolutely.
And it also depends on which Blade Runner you watch.
Oh my God,
there's about 4 different versions.
Yeah, how the hell do you have 5 versions? You know what? At least with the original Dawn of the Dead, it's the theatrical cut, Romero's director's cut, and then Argento's cut. So I get that, but there's 5 different Blade Runners.
And it's not just like they add new things to the story. You know, it's not like a Lord of the Rings type of thing where you get the vast majority of the story. There's nothing that they cut that changes the outcome. There are different cuts of Blade Runner that change the ending.
I know,
depending on what is and isn't shown.
Right. Like there was a woman who I saw her in Do you have half price books out there?
Yeah, we do.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I was in Half Price Books near the mall up here. When I say the mall, I mean Monroeville Mall, i.e. the mall where the original Dawn of the Dead was filmed. It's the mall.
Cool.
Oh yeah.
That's dope.
Oh yeah. So and she was looking at Blade Runner, and then she happened to see like the director's cut with and she was like, and I was like, you know what? Let me ask you this, because you look really confused. What are you looking for in this film? She goes, huh? And I said, listen, the version in your left hand, that's just Blade Runner. That's the version that was in theaters. That's the version that was on HBO. These versions are all the different stuff because Ridley Scott just couldn't decide what he wanted to do.
Yeah.
And she goes, I don't want to be confused. I just want to watch a movie that I like. I said, then get rid of the director's cut. Just watch the regular. She was like, oh, thank you. She was like, I was standing here for 5 minutes confused. And I said, I understand. She's like, how do you...
In the new movie, it didn't answer really any of those questions either.
At all. It's like, so which one is the actual version? It's open to interpretation. Damn it.
Then why did you make a second movie?
Well, see, and that's what's funny is that's why my buddy who I do my film review show with, he goes, I hate director's cut. Tell me the story you want to tell me first without having to do this. The only, and honestly, for the most, I agree with that sentiment. I do. It's just with with the case of the Lord of the Rings, they had to cut so much because it's already a 3-hour long movie.
Yeah, it's like, all right, the movie is finished. The final, it's like the first cut, 4 hours and 15 minutes. It's like, we got to trim this down.
Yeah, we got to cut
watch it in the theaters.
I know, right? Because who's going to sit there besides Brian Tann? Who is going to sit in the theater for 4.5 hours to watch a movie? Anyone? Just Brian Tann? Yeah. We'll make an extended cut for that asshole.
Yeah, we'll cut it down to under 2.5 hours, which is still a long time. Early 2000s for films.
Right. So the whole point is that I love Cyberpunk to death. Cyberpunk is going to be it's going to be one of those few games in a generational console that it keeps giving for years and years and years, much like Grand Theft Auto 5, but that's more because of GTO on Grand Theft Auto Online. It's not the original game, but Witcher did that. Witcher kept giving and giving and giving. So, and that's going to be Cyberpunk. So I'm excited for that. We're 8 days away. I was told that if I was good, Santa might get it for me. I don't know if I'm going to get it early or if I've got to wait until Jesus's birthday or Santa's work day. I don't know. I'm afraid to ask what's going to happen. I'm afraid to ask. So
it is in my Steam library. I have bought it, and it's like the day before you get access to pre-install it. That sucker's getting pre-installed. I even just got a notification that new NVIDIA drivers were just released, which tells me that oh baby, it's coming. And
it's on its way.
It's official. No more delays. When NVIDIA sets up the drivers for the brand new game, it's coming.
And I'll tell you the truth, it wasn't even on. What's funny is that this is supposed to be the Tanndemonium Sports Show, but we've gotten into like 15, 20 minutes of a gaming talk.
A video game talk,
and I'm okay with that. Cyberpunk wasn't even on my radar until it kept getting delayed. And as soon as I heard it first got delayed, I was slightly intrigued. And then when I heard it got delayed again and people were pissed off, I was excited, because when they delay a game like that and it's from a solid studio, that means the game that's coming is going to be awesome.
This game has been on my radar for about 6 or 7 years now, ever since they released the trailer where it was the woman and she's got the little claws coming out of her arms and she's just kind of laying there, because it's the statue basically that they released, that they gave to a lot of people that they sent a bunch of Cyberpunk stuff to, and it was like the bullets in slow motion flying around her. Like, I have been hyped for this game since then.
Wow.
I was in high school. I have a child now, and I'm fixing to finally play this. I used to always joke back when I was dating my now wife, because when we started dating, I got her introduced into Skyrim, and then she just ran with it from there. So, there was never any news about the next Elder Scrolls game coming out, and I always joked, man, I'm gonna have a kid by the time the next game comes out. Now I may have 2 kids because.
Well, that's the one thing. That's the one thing I love about Bethesda, though, is that they don't rush things.
No.
And I'll tell you the truth, I like studios that don't rush things. When you make a game that is top-notch, high quality, like Bethesda does, or was it Project CD? What are they called again? That's making Cyberpunk.
Yeah, CD Projekt Red is making Cyberpunk. Red.
When you make games like those 2 studios that are top quality, you don't need to rush games, because you can wait 5-6 years to develop a game.
Yeah.
And give someone a big enough game that has so much to do that you can't get bored with it.
Yeah. they can make one game every generation,
Yes.
and that game will be the game of the generation.
Well, Jesus, if you like, Oblivion now is still better by a story and by content than most games that are coming out now. And Oblivion is 2 generations ago. I mean, I bet you there's some people that still haven't unlocked everything in Oblivion and have seen everything that Oblivion has to show. And if you have, good on you, because that's a lot of grinding. Because that game is over. I think I read somewhere a long time ago, it was over 200 plus hours of gameplay that, yeah, you'll see stuff similar, but it randomizes everything. So it's always different. Video game developers, take note. Like, I'm serious, like, especially for like wrestling video games, why can't you do something like that? The following broadcast is brought to you in association by XP Coffee Company. XP Coffee Company is the fresh brewed coffee made for gamers by gamers. Get amazing flavors like Choco Loco in 8, 12, or 16 ounce bags, or level up and get Illusion, Isolation, Nightmare, or the Majestic Throne blends in light, medium, or dark roast in whole bean, coarse French press, drip, or fine espresso in 12 ounce, 16 ounce, or 2-pound bags. Wow! Shipping worldwide. If you're in the US, go to usa.xpcoffee.co. If you're in Europe or in the UK, go to www.xpcoffee.co. XP Coffee Company, for gamers, by gamers. Anyway, let's get back to sports. Damn it,
it started with the sports video game thing.
Really did. It really did. Damn it. Now we're going to have to do a separate game that's just gaming talk, so we don't eat up the sports.
The Tanndemonium game show.
Gaming show. There you go. All right, so we had a very interesting occurrence happen last week. I was so excited for Steelers Ravens Thanksgiving night. I was pumped. Sharon and I actually scheduled our dinner so that we would be eating when the game started. Then Lamar Jackson, Ingram, strength and conditioning coach, the hot dog vendor, John Harbaugh's daughter, and Robert Griffin III's third cousin, twice removed, that's Lamar Jackson's shoe guy, all got COVID. And the NFL was like, well, we made the 49ers play with a practice squad. We're going to push this game to Sunday. Wow, the Broncos lost 4 quarterbacks.
I was just about to say that.
Let's push this game to Tuesday. Wow, the Ravens, they're fussing, they're whining, they're complaining. Let's push this game to Wednesday, 3:40 in the afternoon. It's a pretty specific time, sir. This is not the Atlanta Braves versus the St. Louis Cardinals on TBS, the Superstation, Wednesday for an afternoon game. This is the NFL. During the weekdays, the NFL happens during prime time. The only afternoon games are 1 p.m. and 4:20 p.m. on Sunday. But no. And now I kind of get, JLaw, why they did it. This is Steelers Ravens, the most physical, the most brutal rivalry in the NFL. Name me 2 teams that play each other as hard as the Steelers and Ravens do. You can't. Maybe back in the late 80s, early 90s, it was the 49ers and the Giants, or 49ers and Bears, or Giants and Bears. But of the last 20 years, it has been Steelers, Ravens. That is the creme de la creme of football. What happened was the guys that would really make this game something special weren't available. So they're trying to push it. The problem is that when it came out that Lamar Jackson actually had COVID and these guys actually had COVID, the game should have gone on as scheduled, because guess what? They can't play for a certain amount of time.
And it's like 2 weeks until they can, and then after that, they have to keep testing negative.
Right. So it made no sense. Now you've got it where the Broncos had to have a wide receiver take snaps.
From their practice squad.
Yeah, a practice squad wide receiver who only completed, like, hold on, I've actually got to look this up.
I think he went 1 of 9.
Wow.
And threw 2 interceptions. And Sean Payton, like, in the post-game press conference was just like, they did what they had to do. Basically, they were like, Saints players were talking, it's like, yeah, we won, but we don't feel great about it because we bullied this poor wide receiver that played 1 season of quarterback in college at Wake Forest.
I know.
And is from the practice squad.
Yeah, and Taysom Hill didn't do much better. Taysom Hill did, like, why was Taysom Hill starting over Jameis Winston? That
is a question that only Sean Payton knows the answer to.
But yeah, Kendall Hinton, 1 of 9 for 13 yards, 1.4 average, and 2 interceptions. Quarterback rating of 0.14 average, and a 0.1 quarterback rating.
Literally, the only way he could have done worse is if he didn't complete the 1 pass, because that's where he gets the 0.1.
Yes. Yes. Like, I'll tell you the God's honest truth. It would have been better if they just made the Broncos forfeit. That would have been better.
It's just this. So the special treatment that the Ravens got here is ridiculous.
It truly is.
Because yeah, like you said, the 49ers have to roll up with a practice squad. They're like, man, we've got this, we got people sick with COVID. And it's like, well, that's your own fault. Should have followed protocol. Everyone in your organization should have followed protocol. That's not the NFL's problem. That's not the other team that you're going to play's problem. Go out there and do your best. The Broncos,
why the hell couldn't the Ravens have that?
Yeah, the Broncos they tried to petition the NFL. It's like, can we please sign a cornerback? We've got an assistant coach that just last year or in recent, like the last year or two, was an actual college quarterback. He's an assistant with them now. Can he please suit up on Sunday? Let us play. Can we move the game? Can we do something? Nope. Too bad. You guys should have followed protocol. In fact, every single quarterback that is on that roster that got COVID got slammed with fines today for not properly following protocol. So not only were they allowed to not play, and the Broncos weren't allowed to find a last-minute replacement, but the quarterbacks got fined, which is under the rules and everything, so the NFL's in their right to do that. But why is the same treatment not being given to the Ravens?
And the thing
And they literally gave Lamar Jackson and everyone else every other chance. And I get it. In a year like COVID, where there is hardly any attendance, especially in a lot of other northern states like California, like the 49ers, they can't even play in their own stadium. Their last 2 home games, they're having to borrow the Arizona Cardinals. They're going to have to play their home games there.
That is so messed up.
Yeah, which was really funny because they, like, the Twitter handles were tweeting back and forth, like, Step Brothers, like like GIFs and everything back and forth. So that was a pretty fun interaction between the two. And it's also funny because, they're division rivals. So they play each other 2 times a year. They're competing for playoff spots. But, it just goes to show that the NFL is a family and that they're all willing to work together. But you have, with all of that going on,
the management of the league itself is just a shit show.
I know. And then it's like, I'm sure ratings are down. You also have, like, personally, I've got a lot of people that aren't watching the NFL anymore because of, like, the social justice pushes and everything, like the increased awareness from the NFL compared to where they were a couple years ago, where they're at now. They've stopped watching. They've stopped paying attention to it. So
Yeah,
I don't know if that has a large effect everywhere, but I just know personally around me, that's like a dozen people that don't watch the NFL anymore that used to be avid NFL
and
guys.
I'm actually starting to go into that route myself, to be honest, especially after, and we're gonna lump the NFL talk into one pot because
Yeah.
we've been going for a while.
Yeah.
Because did you hear John Elway's comments when he was asked about Colin Kaepernick? Did you hear his comments?
Yeah, and we talked about it a little bit on Slack. Yeah.
And I'll tell you the truth. F John Elway. F John Elway. Seriously. Like, honestly, I'm gonna say it. And if you really want to come at me and say, well, Colin Kaepernick's no good, okay, show me how he's not good. Oh, well, his stats. Any quarterback that's playing on a garbage team isn't going to have amazing stats. And guess what? His stats, all things considered, were actually pretty good. He's just being kept out of the NFL because he spoke up. Let's be honest. He spoke up. He did his thing. He protested. And these owners, they don't like it. That's why Kaepernick's not in the league. And someone tried to say, oh, well, he had a workout and then he moved it at the last minute. If you actually knew how these things work, you'll know exactly why he moved it. He moved it because the NFL tried to throw something shady on the side at him. And he said no, which was his right, which anyone that has a brain. Now, granted, a lot of folks will say, well, if you really want it, you'll do it, blah, blah, blah. But when they're trying to do things in bad faith, you don't have to put up with it. And that's what the NFL was doing. The NFL was acting in bad faith. The NFL even admitted it at one point, I do believe. So you can take those arguments and cram them with walnuts.
Yeah. The NFL did pretty much admitted as much in a non-legal way. One, when they settled with Kaepernick,
right?
When they reached a settlement, so no more legal action could be taken against the NFL. And I know a lot of people were criticizing Kaepernick for taking for accepting that settlement with the NFL before, because emails and text messages were fixing to come out. So, and maybe not just because of the Kaepernick situation, but for everything else that could be going on behind closed doors with some of these big shot owners, they didn't want to get heard.
Well, I think a lot of it is that and I think a lot of it was political. They don't want any noise coming from the White House. Now, I'm pretty sure next season we might start hearing more rumor again about Kaepernick coming back. He's probably not going to, because he doesn't really have to at this point.
He doesn't have to, and I think even if he honestly really wanted to, I see where he can and he can't, because there's a lot of other older quarterbacks in the league that have stayed in the league and they continue to get backup jobs. Right. But I don't know if Kaepernick.
He wants to be a starter.
Yeah, I think I can't hear you. Oh, yeah, okay. Now I can hear you. Okay.
He wants to be a starter. He
wants to be a starter, because I know, and there was a situation that he might have had an opportunity to go to Baltimore earlier, which I thought Baltimore would have been a great fit, because just at the type of offense that they run, plays well to Cap's strengths. See it with Lamar. Kind of even saw it a little bit with RG3 today. Speaking of the game of the Ravens and that, but there was kind of a Twitter spat between, I don't know if he's still dating the same girlfriend that he was at that time, but she used some not so kind words for Ray Lewis and the owner, and I know that really kind of pissed the owner off. So he's like, okay, This deal is over.
Right. No, I get you.
But I think it's just tougher because he's getting older and he's out of the league longer, and that makes it tough. Regardless if it's right or not, it makes it tougher to. But honestly, I mean, teams have nothing to lose if they bring him in.
No,
because I mean, he's an experienced NFL quarterback that made it to a Super Bowl. No one can ever take that away from him.
Right.
And yet he was having some down years prior to that, but those just weren't good teams.
Yeah, anyway. He was on bad teams doing the best that he could possibly do. I don't I think that if he does come back, let's just say next year he comes back. Let's just say the Giants don't tank so bad. But matter of fact, let's just say the Eagles, who are just a dumpster fire, they need someone. Let's say the Eagles bring him in because Carson Wentz just ain't getting any better. So the Eagles bring in Colin Kaepernick. This is a huge comeback story. That's a lot of positivity, I think, that the Eagles could use. Problem is that those Philadelphia fans are brutal and horrible.
Yeah, and it doesn't matter who you are. If you suck or if you're sucking it up, they are very much, what have you done for me lately? Except for when it comes to Doug Peterson for some reason.
Right.
That guy is not a great coach. He makes some very weird decisions when he's coaching games, and they're like, "Hey, you got us a Super Bowl. It's all good."
You know what? Let's not even say the Eagles. Let's say, well, it won't be the Jets, because the Jets are going to have the number 1 pick.
Yeah, and that's where like the situation comes in, because where is there a place right now?
Giants. I think he could go to the Giants.
He could maybe go to the Giants, but it's like most of everyone else, they have young quarterbacks that even if they suck, they're at least still bought in.
Yeah, but the thing is, though, is that you can sort of bring him in. He could steal the job, and they can learn. And they could learn behind him, because if you watch some of his workouts, his mechanics are still top notch. He has a cannon still, and he could I think he could probably go to the Giants. He could go to Jacksonville. He could go to, I don't think he would go to Jacksonville just because of the political situation down there, which is very red.
Yeah, and I also remember Miami was a big talking point a couple years ago, because Miami was searching for quarterbacks.
Well, Tua's got that.
Yeah, Tua's got that locked now, but there's also a heavy Cuban population in Miami, and he said some positive things about Castro, and there's a lot of older Cubans down there that escaped from Castro's regime that had something to say to Kaepernick about that.
Right, so
that was a tough situation for that organization, where even though they needed a quarterback and Kaepernick was the best choice at that point, they're like, and it's like we are really going to piss off a heavy fan base in Miami, where a man is saying something about praise of a dictator that these people escaped from.
He could go to Detroit. I think it would be funny if he went to the Washington football team, to be honest. I just think that would be some poetic justice. He could even, I don't think he would go to Indiana, because I seriously think that I think that where he would go depends on their quarterback needs and what the political situation is in that area. I think that he'll go somewhere that's in a blue state, because, I mean, granted, most cities are blue.
Yeah, so I mean, even if it's like a red state, you could go to a place, just like off the top of my head, like, it could be like Houston, and there's perks of that where it's like no state income tax. That's a big draw, that even though they may be a smaller market, they're not as big of a market as an East or West Coast team.
Correct.
No state income tax. So that's a draw.
I think the only thing that would get him in Houston is if Deshaun Watson left.
I know, but I was just using that as an example.
Yeah. You are 100% right.
As it is like politically a red state,
but it's a blue city,
and you reap the benefits, like the taxation benefits.
Right. I agree with you 100% on that. And honestly, do I see him playing in the NFL next year? Probably not. But if he did, I think next year would be the time, because we have a power shift coming in this country. We'll see. Yeah. But F. John Elway, the NFL just continues to bungle the whole thing. The NFL just continues to just fumble and puke.
The one person that I feel bad for more than Cap, if I can say that, is Eric Reed.
Because that was God, Eric Reed,
Pro Bowl level cornerback, one of the best defenders in the league, and signs 2-year minimal deals with Carolina, and is not in the league anymore.
Yeah, and it's not like he had a drop, and it's not like he dropped in production. The man is a beast.
No, in fact, the 2 years that he played with Carolina were like two of some of his best years. Like only one interception in those 2 years, but just
But
like his
still,
tackles, he had more sacks, and honestly, just he played really well. Was a lockdown corner those 2 years, and he's out of the league. And if I was like, I would love for Miami to go pick him up.
oh, absolutely.
Because pair him with Xavier Rhodes as the 1 and 2 on either side covering the field, bro, it's over.
Oh my God. And I mean, and if he can play, if he can play all four positions in the defensive backfield, oh my God, if the Steelers had him, pair him up with Minka Fitzpatrick, get rid of Trey Edmonds or Terrell, get rid of Edmonds. Oh my God. Edmonds has one good game. He's arrived. No, he hasn't.
No. So Eric Reed is like, he's the guy that he doesn't even get like the huge Nike deal because of it.
Because
he's one of the OGs. He's one of the OGs.
One of the first guys that worked.
He was with Cap from day one, and so he is the true tragic story of all this because he
really is. He really is.
Because at least Cap is making, he's using his platform, but he's also getting money from it.
He's getting money from it to put back into
support. Yeah, right. Exactly. Eric Reed's not even getting that.
Right. And can we just talk real quick? That Steelers game was just awful.
It was.
Now, granted, you could argue that it's because of not being able to practice. And you could even say, even when you can't practice, good teams pull it out. And you're right. But as Mike Tomlin says, this was a JV effort. How the hell this game should have been 30-14.
It should have been slaughter.
Minimum. Eric Ebron with at least two major drops, one of which was in the red zone.
Mm-hmm.
And Deontay Johnson, a huge drop that if he makes that catch, he scores. This was a horrible game, but they get the job done. But it's like games like this don't plead your case when it comes to wanting respect from the NFL and the pundits. It was
because honestly the deciding factor in this game was the first score of the game with a pick six, but a missed extra point. So right. It was a very sloppy game. Definitely not
what you would expect. Well, even on usually you expect this kind of crap from the offense, but not from the defense. And now it looks like Bud Dupree hurt his knee.
Mm-hmm.
This could be a torn ACL, which means now that's two of our big guns on defense lost. Now, maybe Matt Filer. Well, it looks like Alex Highsmith is going to slide over and take Dupree's spot. However, if he's not going to work, maybe see if you can slide Matt Filer and then put Avery Williamson in at the middle linebacker spot. I don't know. All I know is that losing Dupree makes it a lot harder unless Alex Highsmith is able to really shine as we've seen him do in a few occasions this season. Unless he's really able to shine. And they picked up Highsmith because Dupree is gone at the end of the year.
Yeah.
That money is going to TJ Watt, not Bud Dupree. Because Bud Dupree didn't start becoming major until TJ Watt got here. He was outrunning the play constantly. Bud Dupree was supposed to be what TJ Watt is now, and it just didn't happen. It's just that Bud Dupree is flourishing because he's a Robin to a Batman.
Yeah.
So if Alex Highsmith can do that, that would be great. But it's a lot harder for the Steelers to go 16-0 now.
Yeah. How do you have Big Ben throw 51 times, but he only gets 266 yards and you only score 19 points and 6 of those points belong to your defense?
Yeah. Shout out to Joe Hayden, man. Joe Hayden doing his best Minka Fitzpatrick impression today.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. He's literally the MVP of the game because that was the difference maker.
Yes. And I mean that this game was just ugly. It was terrible. And this is why the NFL blows. Because if this game is played on Thursday night, it's a lot better of a game. RG3 was super rusty. Why? Because no one's had time to practice. You should have just, you know what? All right, if these people are coming down with COVID, you isolate them, you get them away. If everyone else is testing okay, then you play the damn game.
Yeah, they just should have played it on Sunday.
Yes, or just play it on Sunday. Yes.
Yes, that's honestly when they should have done it. You knew who had COVID and you knew who didn't by that time. You should have just played it. And also just going back to talk about how the Steelers get screwed. They lost a bye week earlier in the season because they had to take like a week 3 bye week, and now they're having to play all these games in a row. And the one time they had an extended break because they were supposed to play on Thanksgiving on a Thursday night game and then not play again until Sunday. Yeah, now they play Wednesday and have to turn around and play on Monday, while the Ravens get till Tuesday to play.
Yeah, this is just egregious. It's almost like the NFL stacking the deck against the Steelers. They
I don't understand why they would. It's one of the most historic franchises. They have more Super Bowls than any other franchise.
Because they want.
It's like the MLB setting up the Yankees or the NBA to set up the Lakers or the Celtics.
You're right. Because here's the thing. Patrick Mahomes is the new face of the NFL. And they are going to do everything they can to keep Mahomes safe and protected. Because as much as Mahomes is a great quarterback, if he had to face this Steelers pass rush and this Steelers defense with as crappy of a defense as the Chiefs have, the Steelers beat the Chiefs.
Oh, they're going to have to face each other in the AFC Championship game. I'm telling you, I'm looking more forward to the AFC Championship game than I am the Super Bowl. Because I don't think the Super Bowl will be good, but I don't think it's going to be as good as the AFC. And I think whoever comes out of the AFC is probably going to win it. Because if the Steelers beat the defending Super Bowl champions in the Chiefs, then it's like then there's no one stopping them. And if the Chiefs overcome the complete team that the Steelers are, well then it's like, well, you have the most complete team in the league. Who can stop them? This other team is going to have flaws. This team has little flaws.
Right. Absolutely. So I seriously think this is the NFL trying to protect Patrick Mahomes and trying to protect the Kansas City Chiefs. The Kansas City Chiefs are the it kids. That's who and Patrick Mahomes is the face of the NFL now. He has replaced Tom Brady as the face of the whole thing. Big Ben has never been that, ever, because Big Ben is not your conventional quarterback. Throw in the issues that he's had in his personal life in the past. The NFL does not want to get behind Ben Roethlisberger, the Pittsburgh Steelers, and to some extent, I'll even say Mike Tomlin. I'll take it there too. No, they would rather protect Patrick Mahomes, protect Andy Reid, and go that route.
I think in this instance, to me it feels more like they're trying to protect Lamar Jackson but in a sense that it is Patrick Mahomes in there too, because they're setting up Patrick Mahomes and Lamar Jackson as the next Peyton and Brady, basically. Right. And they ran with that narrative all last year, and you have the defending MVP in Lamar, but obviously he goes down with COVID, and honestly it looks like
he's been playing like garbage any damn way.
Playing like garbage anyway, and it honestly looks like they're not going to make the playoffs now.
No, they're not. Not after this loss. It's going to be tough because now they're going to have to overtake Cleveland, because Cleveland's got that top wild card spot. Mm-hmm. And there's and then that means that the Ravens are going to have to somehow deal with Cleveland. They're not going to get the Titans again. The Titans aren't going to give up their wild card spot. The Ravens are going to have a really tough time.
I think obviously you've got the Cowboys, the Jaguars, and the Giants. They'll have Lamar back for the Jaguars and Giants, and even the Bengals. But if they were to lose to the Browns, then I think it gets increasingly tougher. It's pretty much over, because then the best that they could do is 10-6. And like I look at Cowboys, Jags, Giants, and Bengals, especially at the end, those are trap games.
Right. Those are teams that are just playing for their pride at that point.
And the Giants may even be fighting for a playoff spot. They may be fighting for the division at this point. For their 5th win of the year, they'll be fighting for the division.
So the NFL is a joke. There's one final story that I want to hurry up and get to because we've gone over, but that's what happens when you have good conversation between two intelligent figures.
Word.
We had history made last weekend, JLaw. We had, for the first time ever, and this has been done in movies. This has been done in the 1991 film Necessary Roughness, where Kathy Ireland played Lucy and was their place kicker. We had it in real life. Sarah Fuller, a goalie for the Vanderbilt soccer program, football program, was the first woman to play in a Power 5 football game. She's their place kicker. Now, she only got to perform one kick, and I'm actually referencing Kane Lander's article that was posted up here on vendettasportsmedia.com. Kane, I kind of busted Kane's balls a little bit over Twitter. He was like, I'd love to come on your show and talk about this. He was like, oh, I mean, if that's okay with you. I was like, yeah, I was getting ready to say, who the hell are you to invite yourself onto my show? And I was just busting his balls. But he was like, you know what? Now that I think about it, the timing doesn't work. And I'm like, oh, man. I was not trying to I hope this dude wasn't taking me seriously. I was just busting his nuts, man. But, he wrote a really great article on this. And I'll tell you, I agree with him 150%. Number one, all you He-Man woman haters on Twitter, you need to get over yourselves, okay? I'm sure you got mamas, you got sisters, you got grandmamas, you got aunties. Did you see any of the tweets and social media posts about this young woman, JLaw?
I have seen some, yes, and I've seen others react to it. And, of course, I read Kane's article today also.
I mean, some of y'all that now – if you say, I don't want a woman playing football, okay, why not? Because, football is a very, very violent sport and she could get hurt. Yeah, she could. But if she's willing to take that risk, cool. And she's a kicker. Number one, a kicker is probably one of the most important positions on your team.
And the most protected.
And the most protected, other than a quarterback.
On a kick, and it's a 15-yard penalty.
Yeah, you are not allowed to touch a kick. You're not even allowed to breathe on a kicker. All right? I'm pretty sure that if you went to go slap the ass of a kicker for making a good kick, there might be a 15-yard penalty in your future. Especially if, but these...
And that goes to a whole, new situation when it's a female kicker.
Yeah, I know, right? Now the cops are going to tackle you and take you away because you're an asshole. And you deserve it. But some of these, talking about they hope she gets hit and she gets hurt and blood. What the hell is wrong with some of you people? Seriously. You know what? This is why I don't like social media. Because all these people say and do all this crap from behind the safety of a screen. You wouldn't say none of this crap to this woman's face because she could probably put her foot in your taint and knock your sack through your earlobes. Or whomever she is in a relationship with, if you say, oh, I want to see her get hurt, they're probably going to put your ass in traction. Not to mention her mama, her daddy, her brothers, and her sisters, and all of her family people. Oh, yeah, I hope she gets hurt. Kiss my ass.
And let me tell you, dude, soccer girls are just built different. They truly are. Because my wife and I, we played soccer together in high school. In fact, that's actually how we met. Was we were both on the soccer team. True love story of I'll tell it just real quickly and I'll get into it. So it was I was on the senior high team. I was in 10th grade at the time, gonna be in 11th grade the next year, and she was gonna be in 9th grade that next year. So or 8th grade that next year, and I got to practice late because I played baseball and soccer. and I eventually quit baseball because I just wanted to play soccer because all my friends and eventual girlfriend, eventual wife, played soccer, and I wanted to spend more time with her and the rest of my friends. And so I got to practice late, and so as punishment, coach made me play on the junior high team. I played on defense, and she also played on the defensive side of the field. And so we were like plotting how to severely hurt, if not kill, someone on the senior high team that we both did not like. And then, yeah, that blossomed into a relationship that's gone for almost a decade, and we got a kid now. So fairy tale love story, yay.
Love at first psychopathic murder plot.
That's when you know the foundations are fantastic.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point by you.
I mean, just like I've seen my wife like get run over, trucked by dudes, because we had a co-ed team, super small school playing much bigger schools. So if there were girls that wanted to play soccer, they had to play with the dudes, and every single one of them was tough. And my wife was super tough. She still is super tough. And I saw her one time. I thought she died one time. I mean, she ran into a guy, flew back about 3 yards, and was just out. And I was like, well, there she is. She's dead. It's over.
Well, she's dead.
And she got up, shook it off, and then kept playing like it was no big deal.
Damn.
And then I knew another girl. She didn't go to the school that I did, but she was kind of in our social circle, where she played soccer and at a school that is like just in the town over from the town I live in now. They didn't have a soccer program, but they also didn't have a kicker, so she became their starting kicker. So this is something that, so female kickers in football are starting to become more and more commonplace. And there's no one better built for that if you're going to have women in these roles, because they're already tough and they already are, you know, their bodies are built to handle like
punishment.
Kicking,
right,
and punishment. Yeah. So
I think soccer in this country gets such a negative rap because we see these guys flopping over in Europe.
Yeah,
that
doesn't happen in the women. That does not happen in women's.
Women's soccer players are freaking beasts.
They're tougher than the men's soccer players.
Yes, they are. Like, I'm sorry. The fact that the U.S. women's soccer team get much less money than the men's soccer team is a crime.
They just kick
because
ass
the women's soccer team is always on point. The men's soccer team don't do shit. They play foosball and drink beer. These women's soccer players are dude. I crush on them because I'm afraid not to. I'm afraid they're gonna beat me up.
Yeah, and
they could.
Yeah, and I'm not gonna fault, because everyone's pointing towards the kick, the one kick that she had, and it's like, oh, look at this weak attempt that she made.
It was a squib kick.
It was a squib kick. And it was her first time ever kicking in a game scenario, and she had less than a week of practice.
Even prepare, yeah.
To get comfortable with doing that. Like, yeah, she was warming up and everything, but
warm up is way different than game time.
Exactly.
You always think you're ready. When you're on the practice field, you think you're ready. When that whistle blows, it's a whole different ball game.
And, you know, it's stupid to expect her. It would be stupid to expect anybody, even if it was a male soccer player, to walk out there and start kicking 40, 50-yard bombs.
Right. Throw in the fact that the offense and the defense didn't do a damn thing. They lost 41-0.
Exactly. She got to kick off the opening kick. That's the only time she stepped on the field because the team sucks.
Right. Now, let's just say... And Kane said if she went 0 for 5, then you could criticize her performance. No, this criticism came because it's a woman playing football. That's all it was. And I'm telling you one thing right now. You sexist ass cats. Y'all's chickens are going to be coming home to roost real soon. Because when you go and say you do all that, you know what? Your wives see you. Your mamas see you. Your girlfriends see you. Your daughters see you. There's going to be a recompense coming. And you sit there, you say this stuff on social media thinking that you're being funny. The fact that you can't even tell what a piece of shit you are, it just goes to show that there's something really, really wrong with the inner wiring of your brain. And I'll tell you something right now. And JLaw, you can quote me on this and you can hold me to it. let's just say one day, let's just say I come out your way for a visit when this COVID thing is under control, and we go and have a beer. You're old enough, right?
Oh, absolutely.
I'm making fun of you.
See this right here? I'm not Scott with the little peach fuzz right here. He's 12 years old. He's got like a 17-year-old drinking limit, but he's still 6 years away from it.
That's awesome. Well, let's just say we go to a bar, right? And some of these He-Man woman hater types are doing their, their misogynistic thing and blah, blah, blah. And let's say Sister Fuller is still kicking. Like she somehow becomes the first female to actually play in an NFL game. Okay. And I hear some cats start talking trash, with some of this sexist shit. I'm not a violent man, but I would have no problem busting a beer bottle off somebody's skull. I'm sick of it. I'm so sick of it. I'm so sick and tired of these woman-hating assholes that just permeate on social media because they don't get to go out on dates with girls that they like. Oh, sorry, Chester, but she does have the right to say no. You ain't God's gift. Oh, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, ugly bitch, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, she probably thinks you look like rancid ass. She probably thinks you sitting there thinking you the bee's knees and the honey to the wax. She probably thinks that the best part of you dribbled down your mama's ass crack and became a stain on a damn couch. Get over yourselves. This woman did what some of you mindless, and I'm not even going to call y'all Neanderthals because I'm not going to insult Neanderthals.
At least they evolved.
Yes. Not only that, but you realize that Neanderthals depended on women as well? They depended on women. Some of y'all sackless little chumps, you will never, ever be in a situation to make history on this planet, in this country, or in this realm of sports. You're not. So you're jealous, you are sad, and you are sorry. And you know what? This world will be better off if you either A, got a reality check, checked yourself, and became a better human being, or someone just snapped a finger and you ended up in an alternative world. Basically, I'd send you to the Phantom Zone if I could. And let
gather all the Infinity Stones and just
there you go. Well, see, now we're doing a DC Marvel crossover. But you know what? Yes, I would seriously snap you to the Phantom Zone and leave you there for all eternity, because you're just showing right there just how useless you are to this world. Because the bottom line is, it took balls of steel. I'm sorry, it took ovaries of steel for this woman to do what she did. And you know what? I commend her for it. And some of y'all, and some of these guys will never play the college level of sports. They will never play the pro level of sports. Some of them probably never even suited up to play a sport for real. Mm-hmm. And if they did, then they ought to know better. Shame on you. Yeah. And if you don't like what I have to say, fight.
And at the end of the day, Vanderbilt had kickers and they went looking elsewhere for a kicker. So what does that say about their kickers?
Exactly.
Where they're like, we would rather have her, who has never played football, and you said she was what, the goalie, the keeper?
Yeah,
so
she's the goaltender. She's the goaltender of the soccer team.
Yeah. And so it's like, she's the best option that we have. Let's roll with her because we can depend on her.
And you know what? Sarah Fuller, I'm looking at her profile on Vanderbilt's website right now. Homegirl is 6'2". She is a 6'2" soccer player, which means that you know that her hips, her thighs, her calves, her knees, those are superhuman. Keep messing with her. She will hit you with a roundhouse that'll send you back to your grandmama's era. And when I say her hips, her thighs, her calves, I am not sexualizing her. I am simply stating that
only.
She is nothing but superhuman strength below the belt. That means that she could probably, it wouldn't shock me if she's pushing 800 pounds on the leg press for fun. It wouldn't shock me if she maxes. It wouldn't shock me if she could push the whole stack.
Yeah, bro. I'm just to be an Arkansas fan here. Arkansas has always had terrible luck with kickers. We got a top 10 soccer program, women's soccer program. Let's start farming in there. Look around.
I know, right?
It's like, because it literally, you've got nothing to lose.
No, I mean it's better than getting the towel boy to play on your to play on your offense after a water boy became a defensive phenom.
Yeah, it's better than they're holding tryouts like outside of the stadium and put up a field goal and like the first person to hit it from 30 yards. Suit up, get in here.
Jeez, University of Pittsburgh needs to start getting some of their female soccer players on the football field after getting shellacked 9 billion to 17 by Clemson. Don't get me started on that. Ugh. All right, guys, listen. Don't be too quick to leave off because we're gonna have a closing statement from some of our partners. But remember, please like, share, subscribe. Join our Patreon. Join the Vendetta Sports Media Patreon. Every little bit helps. I believe it's as low as what, $5 a month, as high as $50 a month. $3. $3 as low, $3, just $3 a month can help us along just fine to be able to do more things to push the channel out there. I mean, geez, it could help this show even make this show better than what it is now. But listen, make sure you check us out on Patreon, patreon.com/Vendetta Sports Media. And with that being said, we went way over on this one. We're going to see you guys next week. We're going to try to get back onto our regular time slot there. And like I said, you're going to get last week's episode after this week's episode. That's on me. But hey, we appreciate you. Please have a safe, happy holiday leading up to it. And the one thing that I will say, just a real quick PSA, the holidays are difficult for a lot of people. So if you know someone that has a difficult time during the holidays, or if just someone isn't seeming right, check in on them, make sure they're okay, and let them know that you're there for them, because around this time of year, especially now with having COVID, you know, the rates of self-harm and the rates of suicide are growing. Mm-hmm. So check in on these people. Make sure you look into your local suicide hotlines if you know someone that's having some problems, and just try to help them out as best you can. So with that being said, I'm Bryan Tann. He's Jackson Law. This is the Tanndemonium Sports Show, Vendetta Sports Media. We'll see you guys next week.